Let's talk about how to turn unproductive anger into something productive in 3 easy steps. Hi, I'm Rochelle Fry. I'm a licensed professional counselor. This is part 2 of my mini series on how to be less reactive. So today we're talking about the anger that we experience and how to switch it from being just fuming and angry into actually doing something to change it and to manage it. So the first thing I want to do is introduce you to the anger iceberg. This is a tool that we use a lot in counseling when we deal with anger. So I'm going to put it by the screen so you can take a quick screenshot if you want to, and then I'm going to talk about it. Okay, there you go. Time to get a screenshot. Okay, so when we talk about the anger iceberg, the first thing to understand is that anger is a secondary emotion. That means that when we experience anger, that's not the root cause of what we're experiencing. Usually we have the anger on top, and that's big and that's noticeable. We have big feelings, big anger. But if you look on here, you can see that just like the iceberg, that's what people can see. But if we dig underneath of the anger, the bigger part of the thing is down here. So there's a lot of different emotions that can be underneath of anger. And I'm just going to give you a couple of different examples of things that we can experience so that you can kind of walk through the process and understand how do we get from the top of the iceberg down to the bottom. That's the first step in managing your anger. We're going to find the underlying emotion underneath of the anger. And I'm going to give you 2 examples to kind of give you an idea of how we're going to do that. So the first example is one from my life. I was having a discussion with my husband, and it was about something he was doing that was, I felt, detrimental to his health in a way that he wasn't really taking proper care of himself. And the conversation that we have, I realized after the conversation that I came across as angry. So I went to address my own process, which is what we should do. We should address our own process. And I was like, that wasn't really helpful. The anger was not helpful. Big feelings and explosions of emotion are not helpful. And so when I went to assess what is underneath my anger in him not taking care of himself was really fear. There was really a fear that he could, have a health event or something could happen to him because he was being unhealthy, and that I would either possibly lose him or that he would be disabled or something like that, which essentially even further down goes down to, abandonment or loss or grief. Me avoiding wanting to experience abandonment or grief or loss related to my husband. That's what was underneath of it. So once I understand that that's where I'm at, I can do something a lot more productive with that anger. Another example that I will give, because I have talked with tons of clients about this lately, is, the environment that we live in with what's going on with our government. There's a lot of people who are very angry because they feel like powerless. They feel like people are getting their rights taken away, that sort of thing. And so a lot of the conversations have been about how do we channel, instead of just walking around angry all the time, having our brain sitting in, unhealthy juice because we're sitting here ruminating. We need to think about ways that we can change this unproductive anger into something productive. So that's going to go to step 2. We're going to work on identifying what we can control. So in both of these situations, I'll go through and talk about what is within your control, what is not within your control. So in the personal example with my husband, what is within my control? Because I'm having fear, I'm experiencing fear. So what is within my control? Certainly not his behavior. That's his job to control his behavior. And if I try to control his behavior, that would be codependent. And I don't want to do that. So what I want to do is communicate to him. I understand that I came across as angry and that was an inappropriate way to express what's going on with me. What I'm really experiencing is fear. I'm afraid that these health issues are going to cause me to lose you, are going to cause some catastrophic health event. And over time, if you don't take care of yourself, I'm afraid of actually experiencing that loss. That's why I'm concerned. I'm concerned for you, and I'm concerned for, these fears that I'm having. So once I communicate that to him, that's what was within my control, to let him know what my concerns were. Now I have to let that go because the rest of the outcome is his job. It's his job to decide if he wants to do anything about it or not. And then in the other example of, the climate that we're living in, what is within our control? Well, this situation can be really frustrating because a lot of what's going on right now is not within our control. So identifying what we can control is really important. And there are things you can do that are within your control. And that kind of speaks to the third step. The third step I'm talking about is action. You're going to take the energy of your anger, and instead of just ruminating on it and stewing in it, we're going to think about, once we understand what is within our control, we're going to do an action, because at the very least, we might not be able to change the whole big situation, but what we can do is do what is within our control. That's the best we can do. So like the example of feeling out of control, there's been a lot of things, wonderful things I've seen clients do, family and friends do in these situations. For example, if you're concerned about people's rights being taken away, you can join an organization like the ACLU or the NAACP, whatever organization is supporting, the National Park Foundation. There's a lot of things you can do to empower these organizations because they have more power to do what we can't do. There's also a friend I have that decided to go and gather up all of her friends and support a local Hispanic restaurant because she felt like that community within her community needed added support, and she wanted to convey the message, hey, we care about you. We want you, to be supported and to feel loved. Another client of mine felt like that she wanted to join a local LGBTQ support group as an ally so that she felt, kind of powerless to help in that rural area. Those people felt, excluded or marginalized. She was able to join that group and at least, on a bigger scale, do some type of action to manage it. So there's a ton of different examples, but that's just kind of the 3-step process is, look on the anger iceberg. If you didn't get the screenshot, you can just go on the Googles and you can Google anger iceberg and probably print one out. It's a good thing to hang up. Always look under your anger and identify your emotion. Find out what's really going on within yourself. And then number 2, identify what you can control. And then number 3, use the energy of your anger to do an action, to do something about it. And hopefully that is helpful to you. And I hope to see you on my next part 3 of my mini series. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day.